All right, so I chose to do my presentation on micro versus macro social work, and I just chose this because I feel like, obviously, um, wanting to go into this career field, it's something that I should be educated in so that I can better kind of decide what area I want to go into. So, the first article that I chose to read was called Macro, Micro, and Meso Social Work, What's the Difference by Mariah St. John. And she basically, honestly, was super just educational and factual. This is something where I feel like um, the worldview was very similar, obviously, to the social work perspective, just because it's pretty straightforward, just definitions and stuff. So, took out some quotes that summed most of it up, and I'll just read them. Macro level social work encompasses the broadest scope of social work. Professionals working at this level address systemic issues affecting local, state, national, and international communities. Macro social work involves advocacy, policy, and research to create a comprehensive understanding of social issues and determine effective interventions. So that's macro level. And micro level social work involves different or direct intervention and one to one support of individuals, families, and small groups navigating personal and social challenges. At this level, social workers perform behavioral and case management services. These services may include assessing, planning, monitoring, and evaluating interventions and services to ensure they meet clients' needs. A few other quotes that I picked out were though social work is split into three distinct levels, most social workers interact with and incorporate practices from each level in their everyday work, which I thought was, a nice way to put it. And then at all three levels, social workers advocate for individuals and communities as they face socioeconomic barriers and other hardships. The primary difference between micro, meso, and macro social work is the scope of the work. So I liked those. I feel like obviously all of them have their differences, but they all fall under social work. And, social work has a general goal of just helping people and advocating for people. So the the peer-reviewed article that I chose was called Macro versus Micro Social Work, What's the Difference? Very similar title, and it was just from Yesheva University. And these were the quotes that I felt like did a really good job of summing it up. The first one is, it's important to acknowledge that the core mission of each concentration is essentially the same. As a whole, social work is defined as helping to restore or enhance an individual's, group's, or community's capacity for social functioning and to advocate for social conditions that are favorable to this goal. Differences in micro and macro social work stem from the different means and methodologies necessary to achieve positive change in a broad spectrum of fields and settings. So those two were kind of similar to the last one, which was just talking about the similarities, and then the differences from this article were micro level social work focuses on meeting the needs of vulnerable members of society, such as those with mental illness, victims of domestic violence, elderly people, and children at risk. And macro level social work is just the big picture social work that just focuses on helping on a local, national, and even international level. The code of ethics connection that I chose to connect this to was just a really simple ethical principle, which was social workers practice within their areas of competence and develop and enhance their professional expertise. And then that what falls under that is just social workers continually strive to increase their professional knowledge and skills and to apply them in practice. Social workers should aspire to contribute to the knowledge base of the profession. And I chose that one because, again, this isn't anything that is like super controversial or anything like that. It's just purely being educated and knowing what your job is or what job you want to be doing. And so, yeah, just, being an expert in your field is really important. So for comparing the worldviews and social work views, like I said before, they were very common and I didn't really see many differences when I was reading through them. Although I would just say that the worldviews tend to be more general, like social work is social work. And I guess before I did this assignment or before I joined this class, I also kind of just thought of social work as one thing, and so you don't really know like the details. And social workers, tend to be more educated on their own career field, so they just know more about all of the details. I felt when I was reading the peer-reviewed article, it was definitely just a lot more specific on certain things. What I found interesting and just kind of more info that I liked to read were the professional titles for micro workers were behavioral therapists, business social workers, child welfare social worker, clinical social worker, crime victim advocate, and family therapist, which honestly, all of those things kind of seem like something that I would be more interested in. And so I guess I learned that I'm more of a micro social worker than a macro. And then these were the macro professional titles: community organizer, community services manager, lobbyist, nonprofit manager, professor of social policy, program developer, program instructor, and research analyst, which all are very, very important. To me personally, they maybe aren't as interesting or appealing, but definitely still really important jobs. And then my question for everyone is, how do you plan on deciding which career field you want to go into, and what are the deciding factors for you personally? I feel like, we all have different reasons, and so what are the reasons for you? And then these are my references. And that is it. Thank you.